We should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Of course, I have to go over to Rumble, make sure things are working over there, although chat is working, so it should be fine. We've got lots of news to cover today. Lots of very, very funny news, starting with Charlie Crist and his campaign manager. That's a big story. You know, it's a big story because it's not being covered by CNN, MSNBC, NBC News, or any of the other legacy media outlets. It was even glossed over briefly by Fox. Not a banned account. Can we look forward to a giant meteor this election? Possible, of course. And follow up, elderly boomer relatives cancel life insurance. What the fuck? Yeah, you get nothing, I guess. Let me make sure that we're actually live here. Come on, Rumble. You know you want to be live. Okay, yeah, we're live on Rumble. Yeah, just a sec. Let me make sure that all of my tabs are working properly. It's very, very important. We'll be doing some poll analysis. Don't worry. Talking about Biden's latest, now I don't even know if you call it a gaffe at this point, is a elderly sundown moment. Holy shit. Main video of the day was on that topic. It was a big one. YouTube cheering me on because more people were viewing it than normal. I wonder why. We'll be talking about all of these things and much more. First news of the day, Florida Democrat governor candidate Charlie Crist's campaign chief Austin Durr arrested for domestic violence. The campaign manager overseeing former Representative Charlie Crist's bid to topple Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was arrested for domestic violence this week, according to a report. Austin Durr was busted at his home in Cambridge, Maryland, living in Maryland for some reason, despite managing a Floridian campaign. I seem to think that, if I remember correctly, Mehmet Oz gets shit for this sort of thing. Wonder why the legacy media is not giving him shit for this. And now faces second-degree assault charges. Crist's longtime aide was also ordered to vacate the residence he owns with his wife and surrender his guns, which must be massively humiliating, as part of a $10,000 bail package in Dorchester County, according to Fox News. Crist's campaign abruptly announced that Durr was resigning to address a family issue Thursday, but did not allude to his arrest. So yeah, yet another good Democrat exposed as a wife beater, I suppose. Austin Durr has departed the campaign to focus on a family matter. Crist campaign spokesperson Samantha Ramirez told Florida Politics on Thursday without elaborating. And then they looked it up and they found, oh shit, the campaign manager of one of the main events of the entire political season just happened to be arrested for domestic violence charges. Second-degree assault. Here's what's humiliating. Knowing that you're working for a man who supports red flag laws, that's Charlie Crist, that the red flag laws that already exist in Florida, not pertinent to the Maryland case itself, were championed as well by Ron DeSantis, one of the blots on DeSantis' candidacy, by the way. And then on the same day, we also have new polling in with regards to Crist v. DeSantis. The Democrats wanted this to be one of the 50-50 races. It's not even close. DeSantis is now up by 10 points. I still think that he'll be in the third slot, and that what'll happen, I think Abbott wins by the largest margin. Of the three governors that I've been looking at most intensely, Abbott over O'Rourke, Kemp over Stacey Abrams, and then DeSantis over Crist. Although this may nudge my prediction in another direction. To be clear, I'm no longer confident in my original expectation because of the severity of this. Imagine you're running a campaign, and part of it is, you know, women. The Republicans want you to be basically in Handmaid's Tale. And then your campaign chief, the person coordinating your entire campaign, a couple of weeks before the midterms is jailed for domestic violence. Yeah, that's going to go over real well with the Florida voters, Charlie. You might as well just goddamn stand down now. You might as well just say, okay, DeSantis has clearly won this. You know, this is bullshit. Long Dong John, on the basis of their health, who is less fit for office, Joe Biden or John Fetterman? Well, Fetterman's younger. He's more coherent than Joe Biden, as we'll see later when we talk about his bullshit. Hismanai, happy clank. Happy clank to you. Perennial comment making. Lucas Zupan, Cleopatra, the only cat that climbed and sat on you? No, actually, this kitty, Farah, did that earlier. I was down on the playmat with my daughter, and she just decided to clamber up my back. Many such cases. She's an acrobatic kitty. Yes, you're so cute. Look at the squishy face. Yeah. We're taking a moment out to admire the extreme kittiness. She was a chonker. Now she's not a chonker. She's got a little bit of a paunch there, but she's more cat sized now than she was before. But no, Cleopatra did that. Farah does that. Quincy, actually, back in Rutland, has climbed up on my back a few times as well. Diddly squat. Brad Pitt is female now. No, I don't think that that's the case. Although, isn't he flashing like some sort of weird men's attire that has a skirt attached to it? I think so. So yeah, Charlie Crist is officially lost the race for the gubernatorial bid in Florida. If I had to guess, this is the last nail in the coffin of any possibility of his campaign being viable. You're only a couple of weeks out from midterms. Really, there's no time left for an October surprise. You're in the last week of October. The October surprise there is that the campaign manager for Charlie Crist is charged with second-degree assault on his wife. Has to give up his guns and stuff. It was even funnier when they tried to cover for it by simply saying, well, he resigned. It was unexpected. It's a family matter. So you would think family matter. Okay, his wife has cancer. His kid got arrested or something like that. He's got to go and go to court or something and give testimony. Not telling everyone the full story now, were they? John Andrew. All I've seen was Chris' Twitter explode with smear tactics against DeSantis. He's trying to deflect attention. Yes, by the way, John, you are correct. If you look at the Twitter for Charlie Crist, he has gone whole hog in the last 48 hours. In the wake of this story breaking, he's just decided to unleash both barrels. He's desperate. He's throwing up Hail Marys left and right. Go check it out if you don't believe me. You are correct, John. It is definitely entertainment central at the moment. Reality Paranormal. Good morning, Sticks. Today is my first day of early voting in Florida. Oh, the first day. I voted for DeSantis for the second time. I can't wait for your live stream. Yeah, I hope that the second time means you voted for him in the prior election and now you're voting for him in this one. Otherwise, you'd be a Democrat. So, yeah, don't break any electoral laws. If you're voting for DeSantis, the DA won't be merciful towards you. Mojo Hansen, redacted pages from Pfizer, probs deleted forever. Everything is archived if it's been on the internet at this point. I take credit for helping promulgate that situation, which I think is great. Next, we have a really funny story. Oh my God. Jake Tapper from CNN. Jake Tapper, I have to say I'm surprised that there hasn't been a national conversation about the damage done to kids because of these school closures. CNN anchor, of course, Jake Tapper. He's a neoliberal, sort of in the vein of Biden or someone. He's not exactly an AOC or something like that, but liberal, generally speaking. Dem partisan, you could say. And I'm thinking to myself, there was a national conversation from day one of the school lockdowns in the United States. It's just that CNN encouraged people not to have the conversation and indeed was leaned upon tech firms to ban people from talking about it at all. There's been a national conversation. I first started making videos back in goddamn 2020 on the subject of school closures. Others did too, independent commentators. You never saw that from CNN. You barely saw it from Fox. Tucker Carlson covered it a couple times. You never saw it from the other anchors for the most part. Never saw it from MSNBC, Vox, Salon, Huffington Post, all the other leftoids out there. They didn't want to talk about it. But there has been a national conversation. But the conversation is effectively over. Yes, closing schools harmed kids' aptitude. Just look at the ACT scores. ACT is a measure that's used by some schools for college admissions. SAT and ACT are the big ones. If you look at the number of people who don't have any aptitude, that is on the 4 categories on the ACT test, they show no aptitude in any of the 4 of them. That number went from the mid-30s up to the low 40s over the course of a single year. I made a video about this, I don't even think a week ago. It was a new tech exclusive for a reason. There has been a national conversation. The conversation has been you, Jake Tapper, and CNN at large, Fox and all of the others, encouraging lockdownerism, or at least semi-condoning it. encouraging business lockdowns, encouraging society to come to a screeching halt because of COVID. And people like myself getting banned or being censored in some way or another for opposing you. That's the conversation that we had for the course of 2 fucking years. You don't get to come out now and claim, and in retrospect, hindsight 2020, and say, well, there needs to be a national conversation. What did we do to our kids? Dude, there were leering signs a year ago that it was causing mental health issues. Skyrocketing rates of depression, more crime, kids being tardy. You know, if you've got a Zoom call as your class, it's a lot easier to simply say, fuck it, and not go on the Zoom call. What's the school going to do? How can they suspend you? At home suspension? Well, you're already at home. Detention? How do they enforce it? Timeouts? How are they going to enforce those? Little Jimmy just goes on the Zoom call and says, oh, yeah, sorry I missed the last 3 classes. I'm going to miss the next 3, you asshole. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to send the cops to their home? The cops aren't allowed to show up at their home. Everything was locked down. You laughed about this too, about the school closures. Just to be clear about where Jake Tapper is coming from. Crazy Loon, going to vote after work today, Abbott 2022. Yes, I think that Abbott wins now by double digits over Beta O'Rourke. I think DeSantis wins by double digits. Kemp, I think, wins by at least close to that, 7 or 8 point gap. It's not even going to be close. These are the races they wanted to be the 50-50 game in the gubernatorial sense. Instead, the new 50-50 appears to be Whitmer or possibly Hochul in New York. The Democrats are getting absolutely pounded right now. Things are moving against them massively. We'll be talking about some polls in a moment. And it couldn't be worse for the Democrats, especially at this particular time. You've already got early voting going on, and things are going massively against you. This means that you're not even really leading in early voting that heavily favors Democrats. Look at the Florida results. Go to Pressler's page there on Twitter or elsewhere, and he'll give you the actual numerics. If you only have a lead of a few tens of thousands in early voting in a 50-50 state, so-called like Florida, with over 700,000 votes cast, that is not a good place to be if you're a Democrat. I think they're demoralized right now. You see them, they're switching to the emotion-only sort of platform right now. For about 48 to 72 hours, it was the Republicans are coming for Medicaid. They're coming for Social Security. I guess that fell through because now they've pivoted to just Orange Man bad. They're basically just running a campaign against Trump returning. Mojo Hansen, could Whitmer actually lose? Yeah, there's a real risk of the Democrats losing that Michigan gubernatorial slot. There's 2 of the latest polls show a tie there. And in a tie, I think the GOP takes it. Saltness Monster, video on Evan McMuffin and Pierre Delecto in Utah. Probably not, because I'm not particularly interested in that race. It's against Mike Lee, the Republican in that race. Fire down below. Did you see Trump Truth denounce DeSantis for endorsing the Rhino O'Dea from Colorado? No, I didn't actually. I'll have to look into that. Yeah. We got over 3,000 people watching live already. We're only less than 15 minutes into the stream. By the way, again, to everyone, first announcement, there is a link pinned at the top of chat if you're on YouTube and in the description on Rumble. We are helping to clean up the Sinai Peninsula on Pixel Planet. Second announcement, of course, on midterm night, I will be going live with Sleazy P. Martini, the band manager of Gwar. We will be having guests aboard. I figured out how to do that. I would be surprised if 15,000+ people don't show up for the live stream. It will be the event of the night. Ignore all of the other goddamn live streams unless they're like a pre-show or they're a post-show. This is going to be where it's at on the midterm live streams. It's going to be absolutely spectacular in every way. I may be biased, but I think that our show is definitely going to take the cake for best of the night. Eaters of Dead, do you vote early or do you wait and vote in line? Do you trust early voting? I'm an in-person voter. Of course, at the moment, an absentee voter because I happen to be physically in the Netherlands. Not a banned account. What will it take for the 25th to be invoked? It won't be, in my opinion. I think that Joe Biden is more likely to just resign. I think he'll be forced out in that manner. I think that they'll try to save him the humiliation of being removed from office. mainly for political reasons. But I do not believe at this point, I think there's a good 50-50 chance that he doesn't serve out the entire term, leading to Kamala Harris becoming the first female president without having actually been elected, which I warned the Democrats about. I think there's a 50-50 chance of that now. Bartimaeus won. For the Democrats, this might make 2016 look like an ice cream social. In addition to massive losses, a lot of the Republicans aren't the do-nothing neocons of yesteryear. We'll be talking about that in context of guns as well, actually. It's a different crop of Republicans. Second Horizon, 15K? Nah, 45K. It could be, but you got to realize that people won't be notified of the stream like they were the last time I did a midterm stream in 2018. Caleb Arbor, are midterms becoming in the public eye as prominent and important as generals, and is this a good thing? Yeah, they're becoming more important, and I do think that's a good thing. There should be much higher turnout for voting. Orwell's Goon. Thoughts on Paul versus Booker in Kentucky? I figure Paul crushes given Booker's noise ad, but interested in your opinion. Yeah, Rand Paul gets reelected. There's no competition. It will be by double digits. It won't even be close. Mojo Hansen, if Jensen wins Minnesota, then damn. Yeah, still a long shot, but I mean, the fact that we're even discussing the possibility there or in New York or in Michigan for that matter, I mean, isn't this a signal to the Democrats that they've really fucked up? I would think so. But I mean, they don't have the capability of analyzing their own problems. If something goes wrong, it's somebody else's problem. It was voter suppression. It was, WASPs or something like that. Garrick Mobius over on Rumble. At last, I have overcome my Ludditism. Thank you for not being a try-hard edgelord like when I initially came across you on YouTube. Oh, I'm still an edgelord. Now, you should see all the jokes that I make in real life. But yeah, this is straight political analysis. And news, of course. Now we've got some polling to get to. First and foremost, the 2022 generic congressional vote. For a brief moment in the sun, for about the course of a couple of months, the Democrats led a little bit, or were nearly tied with the Republicans. It went back and forth for some time, roughly from the end of July through the end of September. So for a few months, it was looking even Stevens. The Republicans just happened to have surged right at the 11th hour. They're now leading by 3 points in the generic ballot. This is in addition. I think the GOP takes the House, even if they're a point or two behind, by the way, on the generic ballot, based on the metrics that I see. Probably still take a Senate seat, probably still gain a gubernatorial seat or two. Those, by the way, are semi-separate from the generic ballot. State-level politics do matter. If the GOP remains ahead by 3, that's in addition to having a registration advantage. That's in addition to having early voting results from multiple states that show the Democrats roughly 50-50 or nearly so with the Republicans. That's far behind where they normally are in the early voting results. If all these things remain true, and if Biden's approval doesn't get back into the single-digit gap range, right now he's down by 11.5 or thereabouts, you're going to see a red wave election. There is no possibility of any other outcome. There's not a single metric, not the issues that voters find to be important, the economy, gas, things like that mainly, registration, and all the other things. There's literally nothing that the Democrats have. They don't have anything. If you were to have the Democrats somehow retain the House, all of a sudden you'd end up with 1 million people protesting, probably because people would know that a honking can happen. And I don't think that will happen. To be clear, what happened in 2020 was kind of a one-off and only affected one particular race. It didn't really trickle down ballot now, did it? The Democrats didn't do so well in the House or among gubernatorial slots or in state houses. People saying that there's going to be a bunch of honking going on. I can't use the more literal term because we're live on YouTube. I would caution you that that didn't happen down ballot in the last election. And it's not going to happen down ballot in this election, in my opinion, either. By the way, I've got a fucking spammer there. I'm blocking you. Bye-bye. Sex fine. Jesus Christ. You can be a little bit less scammy. If you want to scam my subscribers, be a little bit more subtle. Otherwise, I'm probably going to notice it, just to be clear. That's only the first poll, by the way. We've got others, if I can get to them. I think I have to expand this out. Yeah, one thing about RCP, they don't have the greatest format necessarily for users in all cases. Michigan Governor Dixon versus Whitmer. We have a tie. Ohio Senate Vance versus Ryan. Another tie. Vance is now ahead by a couple of points over Tim Ryan. That's really going to hurt the Democrats if they don't get a pickup there. We have DeWine way over Whaley. It's not even close. Abbott now rising to 9 and almost at 9 in the aggregate. He's now at 53% in the aggregated poll. It is not physically possible for Beto O'Rourke probably to beat him simply because there aren't enough undecided votes. He's above 50% already. And early voting is already happening. By the way, we've got another poll here. This is from the Hill Emerson. And it shows that Trump would beat Biden by 7 points in Texas in a rematch. Down slightly from the same Hill Emerson poll a few weeks ago at 9 points, which is meaningless. Laxalt is ahead in Nevada. And Lombardo well ahead of Sisolak now for the gubernatorial slot. We've got to talk about the possibility of a red Nevada as well. Walker is only 1 point behind Warnock, by the way. Supposedly, Herschel Walker in Georgia, he's running for the Senate against Warnock, was going to get knocked out by the scandal where an ex of his claims that he funded her abortion. Doesn't seem to have done anything. If anything, Raphael Warnock has lost a couple of points of support in that same time period. That October surprise never actually surprised anybody. Oh my God, a politician is a goddamn hypocrite. Let me vote for the socialist instead. I'm sure they actually believe that. By the way, there's a slew of polls from the 23rd. This is the other day that closed. From Data for Progress. I'm going to read through these. They show Kemp up by 10 in Georgia. That's versus Stacey Abrams. He has won that already. Vance up by 3 in the Ohio Senate. DeWine up by 19, by the way, is in Ohio's gubernatorial slot. Data for Progress is a far-left think tank. If they're showing these kinds of numbers, I mean, it's not the numbers that they want to see. They don't want to see Kemp up by double digits over Stacey Abrams. What's he in the aggregate? Yeah, Kemp's up by 8 in the aggregate. He's almost at 52 as well. So between them, all three of the gubernatorial races that the Dems wanted to be sort of the 50-50 shot races, the Republicans now have a near double-digit lead. And in one of them, they have hit double digits. That's Florida with DeSantis. They were trying to knock them off, and they spent an enormous amount of money trying to do so, and it backfired. They would have been better off using that money in Nevada, but they didn't. The only one they have hope left in is Arizona. If Kari Lake wins, it's basically all over, to be clear. I think Kari Lake, if she wins, is probably going to become the president of the United States in the future. She has the unique qualifications, speaking skills, former legacy media, MAGA platform, very well spoken. She could be dynastic with Trump and or Rand Paul and or DeSantis quite easily. In fact, if Trump decides not to run, Kari Lake conceivably could primary DeSantis and win, in my opinion. I think she would prevail over him. Anime Moon, you are an edgelord. Well, I'm a meme shaman. Sparky, Trump for Speaker. Kevin McCarthy is Paul Ryan Jr. No, I want Trump to be president again. I don't want him to be Speaker. Jebediah Kerman, I dreamed Hitler was trying to give me a chiropractic adjustment. I ran away before he could finish. That's probably a good idea. Imagine if it was Pol Pot. Then he pulls out your bones and he puts them in a pile as decoration. Not a banned account. What is the date for midterm election day in the USA? I believe it is the 8th, if I remember correctly. The 8th of November. Vote in person. Vote in groups. Make sure to bring your reluctant friend along with you. Prevail upon them. Roberto Gonzalez. What's worse than capitalist who's a hypocrite or the socialist who's a hypocrite? I think the capitalist who's a hypocrite is technically worse because all socialists are hypocrites. That's the basis of socialism. Hypocrisy, self-aggrandizement, selfishness in general. If a capitalist person is pushing for non-capitalist things, they might be a corporatist. We see the damage they can do. Sparky, voters have become numb to scandals and scandals. Yeah, true. Monty Fennell, Hail Odin. Yes, indeed. And Zeus and all the other great gods. Yeah, we've got plenty of polls to go through. Oregon Governor, Drazen versus Kotek versus Johnson. Isn't Kotek a tampon brand, by the way? That's the Democratic candidate. So he's a pussy. Drazen has been up consistently. The problem is it's a 3-person race. Can anybody from Oregon tell me if nobody gets an outright majority, because none of the polls show Drazen getting an outright majority, does it go to a runoff? Because, I mean, there's no guarantee that Johnson's voters necessarily break for the Republicans. Oh, yeah, Kotex. Well, close enough. K and X look basically the same anyway. So I need someone from Oregon to tell me, is there a runoff if nobody gets 51% or something like that? Because if not, I guess they're getting a Republican governor, which would be hilarious. Yeah, Whitmer is barely ahead. In the last 5 polls, 2 of them are tied. Whitmer is ahead by 2, 5, and 6 in the others. She still has an advantage, although it's definitely a surmountable one. The loss of Whitmer by the Democrats probably would be the biggest possible loss that they'll suffer. That or maybe Fetterman getting knocked off. But I mean, Fetterman's had so many problems, they'll throw him under the bus. They have plausible deniability because he had a stroke. Apparently, there is no runoff in Oregon, so Drazen can win with a minority of the vote simply because there's a vote splitter independent candidacy, which means he probably will. So I guess Oregon is likely to get a Republican governor. I can't remember the last time that's happened. The other thing I would like to point out is in New York. I think Hochul will, in the end, win against Lee Zeldin, although it's getting less of a likelihood. She's got like an 80% chance, but the fact that we're even considering the fact that the Republicans could take the New York gubernatorial slot, I think is says enough on its own. And I agree with people on both Rumble and YouTube. Yes, Whitmer should be in a prison for her various high crimes and misdemeanors. She's been a terrible governor. She ignored various industries and crippled them. She's a piece of shit, basically. That won't happen, but at the very least, you can kick her out of office. Dave MCL, remember, the 8th of November. Take a friend on a stroll down to your voting poll. Yes, make sure to take a friend or family member that leans towards, wanting to punish the Democrats, but has the sniffles that day. Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of hungry. I think I'll make myself a sandwich and take a nap on the couch. No. Don't let them do that. If every clanker in the United States just watching this stream gets one extra person to show up, it'd be several thousand people, just to be clear. Sparky, Trump is Speaker of the House, then have Tannen and Joe and Kamala impeachment, then Trump's president earlier than otherwise. You won't have the Senate votes to remove them, though. That's the problem with that plan. Even if the Senate goes heavily GOP, let's say I'm underestimating, they get 4 senators. They still don't have the supermajority that they need to remove Biden from office. They can impeach him. They can try to get him to resign, but there's no guarantee that he does so. And to John Redcorn, I think that J.D. Vance probably will win in the end. God, I think the Mastriano campaign might be the 50-50 point. That's not what the Democrats wanted to see, not by a long shot. Next news story, MSNBC. This is, of course, from the Rachel Mad Cow blog. Expecting to win a majority, GOP leaders eye new gun policies. Yeah, this is Christmas comes early, I suppose. Christmas in November. Republicans haven't yet won control of anything, and they're already exploring new ways to weaken gun laws at the federal level. Good. They're uncucking themselves on firearms. By the way, generally speaking, and I'll get into the nitty-gritty of what they're actually proposing here. Normally, if a political party tells you it wants to do something, there's a remote chance it ends up doing it. It gets half-assed, it gets delayed, it never actually occurs. You look at, UBI or something like that from the Democrat Party at this point. The reason why I think it's different this time is that many of the incoming Republicans are MAGA. They're not yesteryear's Republicans. They're not neocons. They're not John Cornyn. They're not Mitt Romney. They're not Lisa Murkowski or Susan Collins. They're more like Myra Flores or Donald Trump, somebody like that. They're more like Carrie Lake. I think that they actually will attempt to push through this legislation. If they have enough House votes, it's going to be real goddamn difficult for the Democrats to block it, especially if they've lost the Senate, specifically because they can hold the purse strings above the head of the administration. They may actually manage to force Joe Biden to sign off on pro-gun legislation. It's not out of possibility. It's not likely, but they can try to compel that. What they're doing right now is they want to have reciprocal concealed carry. This would permanently block the shit we see in like New York, New Jersey. They're still keeping up that shtick. You would see a reduction of federal laws with regards to MAG restrictions. I mean, state laws regarding MAG restrictions. You certainly wouldn't have, if you have a Republican Senate, you're not going to have the appointment of justices that'll be deeply anti-gun. This is the good outcome if this happens. First, they're also going after another thing. The House GOP leader went on to talk about possible legislation that would prevent credit card companies from creating merchant category code for purchases from gun stores. I support this completely. First of all, the credit cards are inaccurately going to tell you that they're not flagging gun purchases. They are. No, explicitly they are. They self-admit to this. It is a flag of gun purchases. It is unconstitutional, and we will use every legislative and oversight tool possible to make sure that they do not infringe on constitutional rights, Stefanik said, calling it a move towards a national gun registry. Absolutely agreed. I wouldn't have had any hope that the Republicans would pivot and do something like this, years ago, even like 2 or 3 years ago. Now I actually do. When I look at the different candidates that are running, especially in the gubernatorial sense, but also many House and Senate members, yes, I believe that they may actually make a concerted effort to enact more pro-gun legislation. I would like them to get rid of the NFA so that we don't have to have a lengthy Bruin adjacent court battle. I think that's asking too much, though. The landlord harassment channel, freedom is lost. Our choices are lefties who want to do away with the Bill of Rights or cons whose answer to everything is tougher laws and more pigs. No, there are plenty of libertarian-leaning people currently running for office. Dave MCL, remember the 8th of November. Oh, I already read that one. Derp. Sparky, too bad so many anti-MAGA Republican senators. Yeah, but their ranks are thinning rather rapidly. Just wait till 2024. I think Romney is up then. I think he should be primaried. I think Cornyn is too, actually, now that I think of it. Daniel Hall, Tulsi Gabbard made an appearance at our Republican HQ with and for Joe Kent, Washington 03, last night for Herrera Butler's seat, just one of 4 different stops. It's interesting, Tulsi Gabbard's career trajectory. She's basically, though, just like a rat fleeing a sinking ship. I don't think that she's had some massive change of heart. She's looking at the polls and saying the Dems are about to be toast. I'm going to side with the winners because I want to run for office again. She has to completely recant and publicly repudiate her former anti-gun beliefs, among other things, before I would even have a modicum of possibility of trusting her. Junkie96, why are leftists afraid to debate? Because they will lose. All you have to do is say, shut the fuck up, liberal, and they've already lost, basically. Let's see here, just a sec. What the hell am I doing? Okay, that's better. All right, next news story. Oh, this is a funny one. Breaking, the founder of Tribal Social, a new fast-growing pro-democracy Twitter alternative, declares that soon-to-be Twitter owner Elon Musk is a Russian asset who coddles Trump and his fellow white supremacists and vows to never allow Trump on Tribal. RT if you support Tribal. Yes, I guess Tribal has paid the Occupy Democrats to constantly promote their bullshit. In fact, I think that they were involved in the founding of the platform, which probably makes sense. So they're looking for another grift. They're not making enough in donations for their trash ads and bullshit that they pull. So they want to get people onto their platform. And I'm thinking to myself, good riddance. If the leftoids all go to a different platform, it would be absolutely wonderful. Twitter would be much better without you because, you literally exist there just to post disinformation anyway. So fuck off if you don't like the fact that a proud African-American immigrant, Elon Musk, of course he is, has decided to acquire the platform because you're racist and you hate Africans and you don't like immigrants. Go ahead to your Elizabeth Warren-esque white supremacy site, Tribal Social. It'll be very funny. I should get on there and start trolling Post Andy 6 incessantly or something like that. We'll have a Tribal Social raid at some point in the future. If they actually make good on their offer to finally leave Twitter. But they won't, to be clear. Occupy Democrats will keep having a page. All of the people shitposting there. It'll be just like when they say, well, if Trump wins the election, I'm going to move to Canada. How many of them actually moved? How many people do you know, personally or online or anything else, that actually made good on their offer to fuck the fuck off? 2 of them, maybe. I can't think of any of them, although I'm sure that a handful did. Didn't that dude from Green Day say that he was moving to Britain or something like that because of Roe v. Wade? Did he ever do it? I don't know. He's got the money to. He can just become an investor. He doesn't have to be on a waiting list. Simple Logic 90. Nancy Pelosi believes they can hold the House. What do you think? I think there is a 0% chance of that. Apache. I'm hopeful for the Georgia election, but I feel like massive honking is still possible. 2020 made me super paranoid. In the Senate, maybe. The problem is that Kemp is so far ahead of Stacey Abrams that the honking involved would have to be monumental. It's not like a 1-point swing like in 2020 with the presidential election. It's a massive swing. If you're going to see any honking anywhere, it'll be in Arizona with the race against Kari Lake because they fear her. That's why I don't make a declarative statement that Kari Lake is going to win. I simply give her a mild advantage. Broken Sword. Hey, Sticks, I hope you're having a better day than me. I hit a deer this morning and it messed up my whole truck and parts of my trailer. Lol. That sucks, but I hope you harvested the deer and you're going to turn it into jerky. Get some venison steaks. So see, always look at the positive. I don't know, can you keep the deer that you hit? If so, at least you got a bunch of free meat. That's expensive under Bidenomics. Lapse of apathy. You should take a look at Mastriano's energy policy and Tim Pool's show with him about a week ago. It's great. Also, yesterday was my 32nd birthday. Well, happy birthday. Congratulations. Another year closer to the grave. That's the way that I think about it anyway. You're closer, you get to take a nice long nap. Sounds fun. Thinking maybe I should be buried in the southern climate so that my corpse will be warm at least. Ozzy's Robots. Skeptical a GOP wave will result in significant change, much like the Tea Party wave, FBI intimidation tactics, among other things. P.S. 26 clankers away from 1K. If I hit that today, I'll send a $50 super chat. Okay, if you're not subscribed to Ozzy's Robots, he's telling me he'll give me $50 if he can get only a couple dozen more clankers. So you can help me earn some extra money here, I guess. That'll buy quite a few diapers or energy drinks. Yeah, I'm skeptical. I mean, the GOP is not going to do all of the things that it wants to do. It'll only do a minority of these things. I want the GOP to win, especially to punish the J6 committee. That's number 1. Number 2, block Biden from any more freewheeling spending. And number 3, force him to do what he says he wants to do and goddamn negotiate. And if you can get some pro-gun stuff in there as a result of negotiations, and if you can get enough MAGA candidates in there to sort of shoo the neocons aside, good. Yeah, it'll be a great incarnation of Congress if that happens. And that's a bare minimum sort of a thing. Adam THM. Hey, Sticks, what happened to monkeypox? A lot of people asking that over the last few days. I don't know. I guess it just disappeared. I guess the orgy season was over. Hopium Gardener. Keir Starmer will probably win election in the UK next year. It's going to get worse. Not only a WEF member, but an open Marxist too. Well, things are always darkest before dawn, I suppose. Mr. Wonderful, Pelosi can barely hold her vodka glass. Yeah, imagine that you're like, you're a chronic drunk, because Nancy Pelosi, much like Hillary Clinton, clearly is. And you get to the point where you got the shakes so bad you can't even drink anymore. That must be like hell. Over on Rumble, Matt G. Hammond. I heard Tulsi changed her thoughts on guns when she tried to get a gun license in Hawaii after threats from a stalker. I haven't seen that story, but if somebody can get it to me on DM on Twitter, that would be appreciated. I know that she has somewhat pulled back on her anti-gunnery. She did criticize Beto O'Rourke, for example. I just got to say to you, I think it's disingenuous. It feels like she's doing that for a future political career because she's trying to ride the current wave of anti-Democratic Party sentiment. And she realizes, well, a lot of the Democrats think that I'm a Russian asset anyway, so fuck them. I'm just going to leave the party. I have a feeling that it's self-serving. Now, she can be a useful idiot, a proper tool. That's perfectly fine. I just don't think that I don't think there was any road to Damascus moment in which she had some sort of moment of clarity thing going on and said, well, I'm just following the wrong path. I'm following down the dark path of tyranny or something. I don't completely trust her. I like some things about her. She's well-spoken. She's certainly in the age range to be a young politician. That's fine. Decorated veteran. That's fine too. I just don't think that it's out of a benevolence towards the Constitution or something that she's decided to make her decision. Joey D45, don't forget to vote for SticksCat at grifties.com. Vote for Sticks too. Yes, I am on the Grifties, although we've fallen far down the list because I haven't mentioned it lately. Maybe I'll ram that through. Oh, there we go. Ozzy's Robots. Thank you, and Clankers. Well, that was fast. Thanks for the $50, by the way. I promise to put it to good use, caffeinating myself. Next news story. This is a big one. Will Hispanic voters turn Nevada Republican? The state is looking like a bellwether again. That's bad news for Dems who won in 2016 and 2018. I wanted to talk about this briefly. Right now, a huge proportion of the swing towards the GOP that you see is not due to white supremacy or anything like that. That's what you're being told by the Democrats and by the legacy media. It's basically angry white people. They're having a tantrum about them declining off the world stage and being doomed. And so they've decided to turn out in greater numbers. No, it's people that speak with a Hispanic accent, actually, that are driving that particular thing. This is why, and we discussed this a couple days ago, this is why Hispanics, the id poll left is trying to crack them apart by talking about the whiteness of certain Hispanic groups in order to try to get them to fight one another. They want to make them a non-homogeneous voting bloc because the homogeneity is no longer leading to them having a supermajority of Hispanic voters. So as long as they could promise them breadcrumbs and shit like that and pretend that they like taco bowls and stuff, they wanted them to be a homogeneous bloc. Now that that's no longer the case, they want to split them apart. You have to split them into smaller components so you can pander to one component or the other and get people fighting. This is what leftoidism does. Leftoids can only cause other people to fight to their own detriment, ignoring their own similarities in the process. This is how you promote communism effectively. This is what they're doing, but they're not having a very good go of it. It's because leftoid economics don't work. They've wrecked the economy, and people are beginning to have problems with that. By the way, DeSantis, not related to Nevada, may be the first Republican in a very long time to carry Miami-Dade County. So just to be clear about how strong things have swung in the other direction. Not pendulum style, but close enough. M, what good is abortion rights if you can't afford gas to get to your planned abortion? Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people, I think, that have that basic mentality. They're like, well, I don't really like the Republicans. I don't support them on Roe v. Wade. I don't support, maybe they don't support them on guns or whatever. But then they're like, but they go to the store and and gas up their car and stuff. And they see that they're paying 2 or 3 times as much. And then they're like, fuck. Sparky, Tulsi's sincere but pragmatic and learning. I don't know that I agree with you on that. She has a lot of proving to do before I would ever support her for a political office. E100 Omega 123, you make it sound like the left want another Rwanda. Yeah, kind of. I think that they do. It would please them. Whenever a big violent mob goes rioting through the streets, it always seems to be a bunch of leftoids that are participating now, doesn't it? They like the crowd participation. It makes them feel like they have real friends. Let's see. Il Sarto on Rumble. If nothing else, Tulsi is the equivalent of a new religious convert. She has no business in or even commenting on the clergy for at least 10 years. I don't think that. I mean, if she had a change of heart, that's fine. But I want to see a manifesto sort of thing. I want to see her lay out what she believes in no uncertain terms, black and white. Don't do the fucking political bullshit thing. And just tell people what you believe about guns. Lay it out in line item. I want a bulleted list of her views on guns. Do you still believe that assault weapons should be banned? Do you believe in any form of magazine restrictions? If elected, would you vote to repeal the NFA? That should be the litmus test. I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt if she gives me some sort of benefit to go by. Next news story. Judge rules for California baker over same-sex wedding cake. Bakersfield, California, according to AP. A California judge has ruled in favor of a bakery owner who refused to make wedding cakes for a same-sex couple because it violated her Christian beliefs. The State Department of Fair Housing and Employment has sued Tasty's Bakery in Bakersfield, arguing owner Kathy Miller intentionally discriminated against the couple in violation of California's UNRRA Civil Rights Act. Miller's attorneys argued her right to free speech and free expression of religion trumped the argument that she'd violated the anti-discrimination law. So this has nothing to do with federal law. To be clear, this is at the state level. Kern County Superior Court Judge Eric Bradshaw ruled Friday that Miller acted lawfully while upholding her beliefs about what the Bible teaches regarding marriage. Now, I'll weigh in on this. Firstly, I am pro-gay rights. I don't give a shit if gay people get married. I don't care if I don't give a shit about these things. It doesn't offend me. I'm not religious, so that probably helps. That being said, I keep hearing from people who are more liberal, and that tends to overlap with being pro-gay rights. In my case, it doesn't, but in most cases, that if it's a private business, they should be able to do what they want to do. Twitter should absolutely be able to ban you because it just doesn't like you. Microsoft should be able to shut off your access to cloud because they just don't fucking like you. YouTube should be able to ban you because they just don't like you. It doesn't matter that government subsidies go into these companies. It doesn't matter that they platform public figures that your tax money pays for or services. NOAA updates, for example, on Twitter. USGS alerts on Facebook. Doesn't matter. What is the harm? Again, I say this as someone, I'm not a Christian. I'm pro-gay rights. I don't have a problem. I would bake the gay wedding cake because it's like, if I could bake cakes at all, I would want the money. And I see it as a bad policy, by the way, as a business to turn away any particular business offer. I don't care if you want to have the jihad cake. You're paying the money. I don't give a fuck. You want the big dildo cake? Nah, that's fine. I'll make a nice red velvet dildo for you or something like that. And it'll be cream filled. That being said, what's the harm of a small town, family-owned style bakery? There's probably 7 or 8 of them in proximity. Saying we're not going to make the 2 men or 2 female cake because, we have religious beliefs and we just don't believe that's marriage and you're asking for a marriage cake. Where's the harm in that as opposed to banning someone off a platform where they may have life-saving alerts from NOAA or USGS or something and that's denied to them? I think that it's an apples to oranges comparison. I would leave the small town like businesses and shit alone. Let them do what they want to do. It's just like if they say no shirt, no service. Who cares? I mean, if someone goes in without a shirt, it's not harming anyone, but we allow them to make that particular rule because they want to keep up a code of decency. They're in some small religious community and they don't want to make the gay wedding cake. I wouldn't tell them to bake the cake bigger. I think that it's stupid not to bake it because you're making money, and I don't understand why you wouldn't want to make their money. It's as good as anyone else's, and that's a smack in the face of capitalism. But we have a much goddamn bigger problem when we have monopolistic platforms taking taxpayer money and platforming taxpayer-funded figures and services, and they're turning away people's business. I am much more concerned about that. I don't care about this particular issue. You want to bake the cake? Good. That's good capitalism. It's against your beliefs. Find another goddamn bakery. I keep hearing it's a private business. We can do what we want to. Okay, well then why can't the bakery do what they want to? It's the same fucking shit. Just my little rant about gay cakes. Sparky, but Tulsi can surf and is real purdy. Yeah, sort of like an AOC knockoff, I guess. Mitch James, how long before Hu Jintao is killed by Xi? Probably put in the gulag instead. E100 Omega 123, cost of everything is skyrocketing. Americans are struggling, but Mitch is promising more money to Ukraine. Is he evil, out of touch, or incompetent? All 3, I think. Yeah, our economy's fucked up, but let's send billions of dollars to other countries. Makes a lot of sense. Hopium Gardner, the biggest medical scandal. I won't use the term was revealed about a week ago. Literally no one is talking about it, and no pro-jab politician is being exposed. Oh, lots of people are talking about it. They're just not doing it here on YouTube. Geek. These people never ask the Islamic bakery for wedding cakes. They should. They should go into the Islamic bakery and make them make a cake that celebrates the Virgin Mary or something like that. I bet that case wouldn't be taken up pro bono. Critical orc theory. Bake the man flesh. Bogut. Mr. Schwaggins. Bake the cake. Require an NDA and $20K non-refundable deposit. Ozzy's Robots. Do you think we'll ever see a confrontation between local law enforcement and, say, the FBI trying to arrest someone in a politically motivated case? It's possible. You could have a run-up where they're both arguing that they have the particular authority to act there. I think that happens sometimes with sheriff's departments, I think, and with stadies, like highway patrols and stuff. Like someone does shit on a highway, but then they pull on the side road and the regular cop is there too. Like who has the authority? Is it the person who saw you doing the potential crime or the person who has jurisdiction over the street you happen to be on? Probably in some states, it's not entirely clear. Then it'd be like Super Troopers. They end up getting into a fight over you, and then you just drive off because they've beaten each other. Alex Damon, Oregon Ballot Measure 114, requiring permits on every firearm for ammo and no high-cap magazines. SCOTUS decision matter here? Thoughts? I think if it passes it all, then Bruin supersedes it and it gets injuncted pretty quickly. Especially if it's not grandfathered in. Nick Green, Putin or Winnie the Pooh couldn't have caused more damage than Joe Biden with the stipulation you can't make it obvious. Yeah. BW, the judge was right. The free market and boycotts are the answer if you want to punish a business. Also, I don't trust Gabbard. We have enough rhinos. Yeah, she'll be more like, in my opinion, more like a Romney Republican, certainly than a MAGA. And next we have the big news of the day from earlier. Oh boy, is this one funny. RNC Research posting the first clip, but the second one, Jake Schneider posted this, and it puts it in context, so it's better. Joe Biden is of the belief that student loan debt forgiveness, you know, the grift, the vote buying scam that they're going with, which still didn't boost their popularity. It's got less than 50% support, and you'll love to see it. By the way, I will not be signing up for the student loan debt forgiveness. I did get an email this morning. I refused to put in my information. I'm standing on principle. I do not care whether it gets injuncted or not. I don't care if it goes through. I'm not taking the goddamn money. Just to be clear, Styx has principles. It's the name of the day. It's the name of the game. Joe Biden appears to believe, he's living in La La Land more and more these days. He thinks that legislation got passed codifying the student loan debt forgiveness. He points that out here. Fucking watch it. Every single one of you needs to watch this video clip, whether you have a Twitter account or not. Fucking take my advice. It'll be one of the funniest things you see all day. To the 6,000 people watching live right now, it's one of the funniest things you'll see all year, probably. The problem is that Joe Biden didn't get a law passed. There was no legislation. It doesn't exist. There was never a vote. Nancy Pelosi, by the way, pointed out the other last year, well, Joe Biden can't unilaterally get rid of student loan debt. That would need to be legislation. I'm sorry, but we have, Republicans have a 50-50 in the Senate, so there's nothing we can do. That was the deflection to try to get the leftoids on board. Their new deflection is pretending, I guess, that there is legislation that doesn't actually exist. Ignore the injunction and hope it goes through anyway, because it's vote buying. That's all they want to do. They want young leftists to vote for them so they can deliver absolutely nothing. Even Odd says that regardless of what happens, let's say the Dems carry the midterms, and that after the midterms, they would drop the issue. That if it gets injuncted and it gets shot down, that is, SCOTUS or the federal court system says, well, you can't do this, Mr. President. They don't even attempt to enact legislation. At least not until right before the 2024 election. It's a ruse. It's a goddamn trick. But leftoids won't notice this because they're leftoids. They're fucking stupid. Sparky, but Virgin Mary's in Quran more than in the Bible. Well, then put something else in there. Have a Ganesha cake. Mark Duquesne, private companies have the free association rights of the owner. Corporations are government chartered and have no such right to discriminate. Agreed. That's the litmus test you should use. If you've got a little brick and mortar business, you got a gas station or something like that, it's not even part of a chain. Go ahead and do whatever the fuck you want to do. Be an asshole and see how long you have customers. If you're a corporation, if you're getting any tax rebates or anything like that, then play the fucking game. Kayla Barber. Also, did you look into Mississippi abortion question? Or is that Michigan? I can't remember. I think it's Michigan. Anyway, regardless. No, I have not. Sparky, the Prophet Muhammad considered Jesus a brother, which is interesting because he lived about 600 years later. Critical Orc Theory, beware the surf witch, Tulsi gun grabbered. I don't think that she's a terrible person. I just think, when you've got someone who's been in politics, you tend to distrust them unless they prove otherwise. I've seen no action on her part that shows me that she's had a genuine change of heart on some of her beliefs. That may be completely wrong. Maybe I'm misjudging her, but I'm going to be cautious. She's been a politician. She was in the fucking House of Representatives. Jank Uger's Sweaty Gunt on Rumble. I wish everyone was as skeptical of politicians as you are of Tulsi. That is the way. Yeah, Trump had to earn my trust too. Yeah, really, I got off the Trump train for a while because he chose Pence. I think I made the right decision. At that point, it was like Trump had to really impress me after that. He did. To be clear, I voted for him twice. Ketawin, I paid off my student loans. Where's my refund? End sarcasm. Yes, you get nothing. You were responsible and succeeded. So, clearly you deserve to suffer. The Biden administration has done just about everything that it can to make responsible people suffer. Responsible gun owners, people who are fiscally responsible, people who are, in any way, if you have taken initiative, if you've succeeded at all, if you're doing anything right, Biden wants you to get fucked in the ass. He rewards failure, basically. Mega Sea Monkey, good morning, Sticks. All these Biden clips are both funny and painful to watch. Yeah, how many gaffes has that been in the last, since October began? I'll do a fact checking here. How many videos have I had to make on Biden gaffes since the beginning of the month? I'm going to fact check myself live. Give me a second. So we had today, this number one is Stewart Joe Biden's most insane moment. That was today. Yesterday it was Stewart of Gondor. The U.S. diesel supply, that doesn't technically count as a gaffe. On the 21st, there was another one. That was Stewart Joe Biden suffers another old man tantrum. So that's 3. Stewart Biden suggests the strategic oil reserve should be tapped even faster. That was the 18th. So that's 4. Yeah, and then he had the Pakistan blunder on the 16th, and he claimed the U.S. economy was strong. So going back to the 16th, we have 6 fucking gaffes in the course of 8 days. And then he sniffed that girl on the 15th, so that's 7. Then there was the OPEC scandal on the 14th. I'm not even going to go. That's enough. In less than 2 weeks, you have 8 major gaffes from Joe Biden. And I'm not Biden obsessed. There's no Biden derangement syndrome. It's just he fucking sucks. I'm worried about the channel becoming the Joe Biden is fucked up channel. Let's see. Something or other says stick. Mega Sea Monkey. Oh yeah, I already read that one. Michael D'Angelo, thoughts on Andrew Tate, the top G? I haven't seen any of his material. I think, doesn't he do Rumble exclusives now, I think, because he got booted off everywhere else. Sparky, brother, figuratively, of course. Yes, I know that. I'm being sarcastic. By the way, no more super chats, please, everyone, because I got to get through the rest of these. We're going up on an hour. Corey Alexander, private businesses should be able to rub their business any way they want unless you're multi-million-dollar, multi-country conglomerates that are basically monopolies. It's not a hard concept. I think that's a little bit of a simplification, but the basic premise, yeah, I would agree with. If it's a small business, family run or something like that, or some little chain store that's out in buttfuck Alaska, who cares what they do? They've got competitors. Name a competitor to the duopoly between Apple and Google for the app stores, for example. There is none. They're social media monopolies. They're vlogging monopolies. They're being challenged now because they keep resting on their laurels and doing stupid shit. But for years there, they've been monopolistic. Jeffrey Adams, I wouldn't have dropped out of college had I known I wouldn't have to pay back loans. I'm a wealthy college dropout. Now what do I have to pay anyway? Yeah, I guess we have to pay. I dropped out too. I'll pay off my own fucking money. The Gray, trust no one listed on the WEF site as a supporter like Tulsi. Makes it much easier to detect Dr. Evil types since they have a list. Dr. Evil. Drennan, October should be renamed Gafftober. Yeah, I mean, it's not even an October surprise at this point because, you know, it happens basically every day. Again, eight gaffes or more, actually, in the course of 2 weeks. It's becoming a nearly daily thing. Critical orc theory. I assure you, there is nothing wrong with Biden. Dr. Wormtongue gave him a clean bill of health, like that Rohan King. He is advising him now. Yeah, Joe Biden reminds me of corrupted Theoden, but also of the Steward of Gondor. Sparky, been a war on small businesses for decades. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to go off now because I've got other things I have to do. Not much cooking tonight. I'm going to make a nice sandwich as well. But we're running up on an hour. I need to conserve my energy. By the way, at peak here, yes, about 6,000 people. Keep in mind, take that link in the description or pinned at the top of chat if you're on YouTube. We are helping to repair the Sinai Peninsula over on Pixel Planet. Just putting that out there. Don't worry, I'll be live tomorrow again. I've decided to only stream on weekdays, unless there's something major going on. And that's because a couple days a week, I just want to have a few hours to be able to sack out and do, something other than work. Because literally I get up and I start working in the morning and I pretty much just work throughout the entire day at one thing or the other. And I don't want to get burnout, even though I tend to be a workaholic. So there's a part of me that really just wants to be live 24/7. It's just not reasonable. I can't do that. So I have to restrain myself. I have to have a little bit of self-control. That's about all. Peace out.